10:26 a.m. The freezing gray mist hanging over the Sea of Azov is deceptively calm, but the tarmac at Yeysk Air Base is about to become the most expensive bonfire in modern naval history. The target sitting heavy on the concrete is the Russian Il-38N Sea Dragon, a $400 million submarine hunter that serves as the all-seeing eye of the Russian fleet. Its massive propellers are slowly turning, warming up for a patrol that will never happen, while the ground crew lazily finishes their morning cigarettes. They believe they are untouchable here, deep behind the lines, protected by the S-400 Triumph batteries stationed just over the ridge. But stay focused, because in exactly 12 seconds, that arrogance is going to be shredded by a plastic ghost. There is no air raid siren, no frantic radio chatter, just the sudden, terrifying scream of a diving engine followed instantly by a catastrophic detonation that rips the morning silence apart. A fireball erupts precisely over the cockpit, turning the aircraft's ultra-sensitive Novella sensor suite into a shower of molten aluminum. It isn't just an explosion, it is a surgical execution. If the Russian commanders thought their multi-layered ring of steel made them invincible, then they just received a violent wake-up call that the rules of war have changed forever. The Sea Dragon didn't just get hit, it got humiliated. Before the smoke even clears to reveal the twisted wreckage, one thing is certain: the era of heavy metal dominance is over. To understand the sheer insanity of this strike, you have to look at the map through the eyes of a confident Russian general. This airbase isn't just a parking lot. It is a fortress wrapped in the most advanced electronic armor Moscow can buy. At the outer ring, you have the legendary S-400 Triumph batteries, the systems that NATO pilots discuss in hushed tones. These launchers are loaded with missiles capable of swatting a fly from 250 miles away. Inside that lethal radius sits the Panzer S-1, a mean-looking beast combining rapid-fire cannons with interceptors, designed specifically to shred anything that slips past the big boys. Scanning the horizon is the Podlet K-1 radar, a spinning nightmare that claims to see the invisible. And just to make sure nothing works, the Krasuka 4 electronic warfare station is blasting enough jamming noise to scramble GPS signals across the entire peninsula. On paper, this is an impenetrable shield of steel and silicon worth billions. If you were a betting man looking at this layout, you would say the sky above Yeysk is the safest place in Russia. But stay with me, because the physics of destruction is about to expose a fatal flaw in this billion-dollar wall. Sitting fat and happy on the tarmac is the star of our show, the Russian Il-38N, affectionately known as the Sea Dragon. Do not let the vintage propellers fool you. This is a $400 million flying data center. That strange, boxy structure mounted above the cockpit isn't a luggage rack. It is the Novella P-38 sensor suite, a piece of technology so sensitive it can allegedly hear a submarine captain sneeze 300 feet underwater. This isn't just a refurbished Soviet airframe. It is the neurological center of the entire Black Sea Fleet's anti-submarine warfare capability. To put this financial madness in perspective for the taxpayers in the back, just one of these specialized birds costs more than the annual GDP of a small island nation. It is the kind of strategic asset you protect with your life, because replacing it takes years of sanctions-busting misery. It sits there, gleaming in the cold sun, surrounded by massive Tu-95 bears that look like ancient relics in comparison. The Kremlin treats this machine like a Fabergé egg, assuming its immense value makes it immortal. But here is the catch that the Russian accountants missed. A $400 million price tag doesn't make your aluminum skin any thicker against a cheap, angry lawnmower engine. If you were the Russian commander sitting inside the control van of the S-400 battery at Yeysk, your morning just disintegrated. At exactly 10:30 a.m., the radar screens light up like a chaotic Christmas tree. From the north, multiple high-speed contacts appear, screaming electronically that they are heavy fighters inbound for a strike. Panic sets in instantly. The operators lock onto the signals. But here is the catch that the Russian planners missed. They are not fighting a conventional air force. They are fighting a digital illusion. Those terrifying blips are ADM-160MALDs, miniature decoys that do absolutely zero physical damage but are programmed to mimic the radar signature of a flight of F-16 seconds. Stay focused, because this is where the genius of asymmetric warfare truly shines. The S-400 Triumph, designed to intercept ballistic threats at the edge of the atmosphere, is suddenly overwhelmed by a swarm of cheap, buzzing Lyuti drones and plastic decoys that cost less than a used Toyota Camry. The Russian doctrine is rigid: see a threat, kill a threat. So, the sky erupts in white smoke trails as the batteries launch their interceptors. We are talking about missiles that cost $2 million apiece chasing fiberglass drones assembled in a garage. It is a financial hemorrhage of epic proportions. The Panzer S-1 units, the last line of defense, start spinning their turrets wildly, their radars confused by the sheer volume of junk data flooding the airspace. While the Russian crews are high-fiving each other for splashing what they think are high-value jets, they are completely blind to the real physics of the situation. They are looking up at the decoys, distracted by the noise and the electronic shouting match in the stratosphere. But wait, because the real threat isn't screaming, it is whispering. Down on the deck, skimming just 20 feet above the choppy gray waves of the Sea of Azov, a single UJ-22 airborne drone is slipping through the sea clutter. This isn't high-tech stealth coding, it is raw physics. By flying this low, the drone blends in with the radar return of the waves. To the sophisticated Russian radar, it is just another whitecap on the water. The distraction is working perfectly. The invincible S-400 is busy engaging phantoms, wasting its limited magazine on flying batteries and cardboard, leaving the actual kill vehicle untouched. The Ukrainian operators aren't trying to overpower the Russian radar with brute force, they are simply exhausting it. Every missile that leaves a Russian rail right now is a victory for Ukraine before the bomb even drops. The trap has been sprung, and the bear has stepped right into it, roaring at shadows while the hunter takes aim. Inside the cramped control van of the Panzer S-1, the atmosphere shifts instantly from high-alert panic to a toxic mix of relief and unearned swagger. The radar operator, a man who has likely spent more time on Telegram than in simulator training, leans back in his chair and watches the screen clear. "Targets neutralized," he announces, his voice dripping with the casual arrogance that has plagued the Russian military since day one. Outside on the tarmac, the ground crews stop cowering behind fuel trucks and stand up, dusting off their uniforms. They look at the fading smoke trails of the S-400 missiles high in the troposphere and smirk. In their minds, the great Russian bear has just swatted a fly. They are high-fiving, lighting cigarettes next to fully fueled bombers, and probably already mentally spending the combat bonus they expect for repelling a major air raid. But here is the twist that makes this scene a masterclass in irony. They are celebrating a financial disaster. They just fired $20 million worth of advanced interceptors to kill a few $1,000s worth of flying fiberglass. It is the military equivalent of burning diamonds to keep warm. They believe the silence returning to the airfield is the sound of safety. They are wrong. It is the sound of a predator holding its breath. The commander picks up the secure line to Moscow, ready to report a glorious victory. He doesn't know that his report will never be finished. While they are busy patting themselves on the back for winning the fake battle, the real physics of the engagement are closing in at 100 knots, just 50 feet off the ground. They aren't safe. They are just currently between explosions. Stay focused, because the invoice for their arrogance is about to arrive, and it is going to be paid in fire. 12:15 p.m. The premature celebration on the tarmac is about to be cut short by a sound that has no place in a high-tech war. Not the thunder of jet engines, but the angry, high-pitched whine of a two-stroke gasoline motor. While Russian radar crews stare at empty screens, convinced the sky is clean, a UJ-22 airborne drone suddenly rises above the tree line like a vengeful spirit. This is the moment the ghost becomes real. But stay focused, this machine is no longer flying on satellite guidance. The Krasuka 4 electronic warfare system is blasting enough noise to blind GPS itself, yet it's useless now. 10 minutes earlier, the drone didn't panic or turn back. It switched to terminal optical guidance. It is now a zombie drone, deaf to radio commands, immune to jamming, hunting only with its eyes. This is the nightmare air defense commanders lose sleep over. The Panzer S-1, the so-called shotgun of the skies, is facing the wrong direction, its barrels still hot, its magazines empty after wasting ammunition on cardboard decoys. By the time a half-awake sentry hears the engine and screams into his radio, the math is already final. Onboard AI scans the airfield at 60 frames per second, processing live video in real time. It ignores the Tu-95 bombers. It ignores fuel trucks. Pixel by pixel, it cross-references the scene against a database of high-value targets. It searches for one shape only, the boxy, unnatural hump on the back of the Il-38N. Geometry confirmed. Target acquired. Control surfaces snap, adjusting the flight path not for the fuselage, but for the exposed electronic brain mounted on top. If you were standing beside the aircraft, you'd see the drone dip its nose in a final predatory dive. This isn't a random crash. It's a calculated assassination. The ground crew freezes, realization hitting like ice water. They know it's too late to run. A $15,000 fiberglass drone is about to defeat a billion-dollar defense network. Radar says the sky is clear. Their eyes say death is closing in at 100 miles per hour. This is the difference between fighting with heavy metal and fighting with algorithms. Russia relies on brute force, Ukraine relies on precision, and right now, precision is about to win. Time to impact. 3, 2, 1. The Ghost has arrived. Don't blink unless you want to miss the moment $400 million evaporates. The drone does not hit the fuselage randomly. It slams directly into the Novella sensor suite housing located above the cockpit. This is where physics takes the wheel. The warhead detonates milliseconds after contact, creating a localized overpressure event that moves faster than the speed of sound. The blast wave, traveling at 8,000 meters per second, shreds the aluminum skin like wet tissue paper. Inside that sensor box, millions of dollars of sensitive electronics, rare earth magnets, gallium arsenide chips, and classified signal processors are instantly vaporized into a cloud of toxic plasma. Stay focused on the thermal reality. The heat from the explosion spikes to 3,000 degrees Celsius for a fraction of a second. It is enough to turn the sophisticated radar arrays into molten slag before the fuel tanks even catch fire. Shrapnel from the drone's engine block acts like a shotgun blast at point-blank range, tearing through the cockpit glass and shredding the flight controls. The Sea Dragon doesn't just die, it is lobotomized. The physical airframe might still be sitting on its wheels, but its brain is smeared across the tarmac. This isn't a Hollywood explosion with a slow-motion fireball. This is the brutal efficiency of high explosives meeting delicate technology. The shockwave ripples through the aircraft's spine, snapping hydraulic lines and cracking the main spar. The Novella system, the pride of the Russian Navy, is now just a smoking hole filled with twisted copper and regret. As the black smoke begins to curl up into the cold winter air, the realization hits the ground crew. The machine isn't just damaged, it is technically totaled. You can't patch a hole in a supercomputer with duct tape. In one violent millisecond, a strategic asset has been converted into the world's most expensive pile of scrap metal by a flying lawnmower. Let's look at the final receipt for this absolute disaster. This isn't just a tactical loss, it is a financial massacre. On the Russian side, we have the destruction of the irreplaceable Il-38N Sea Dragon, valued conservatively at $400 million. Add the $5 million in S-400 missiles fired at cardboard decoys, and you have a burn rate that would make a Wall Street hedge fund manager vomit. On the Ukrainian side, a few decoys and a single UJ-22 drone that costs less than a base model, Ford F-150. Total bill, maybe $150,000. That is a return on investment of over 250,000%. But the real cost isn't in rubles, it is in strategic blindness. With the Sea Dragon dead, the Russian Black Sea Fleet just lost its glasses. Their submarines are exposed, and their early warning perimeter has a massive hole. It will take months to replace this sensor suite if they can even source the chips under sanctions. Meanwhile, Ukraine can assemble another drone this afternoon. This proves the age of the dinosaur is over. Russia is hoarding massive beasts that look good in parades but serve as expensive lawn ornaments against modern tech. Ukraine is writing the new rulebook, cheap, expendable, and driven by ruthless mathematics. The Goliath didn't just get hit by a stone, he got taken apart by a swarm of angry bees. So here is the question for the armchair generals. If you had $400 million, would you buy one blind Russian dragon or an army of 20,000 invisible ghosts? Let me know your pick in the comments. The math doesn't lie.